As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams.
Good morning, everybody. Greetings to you. I don't know. I can't hear anything. I can't actually, I don't know whether it's on, but yeah. Greetings to you, beloveds. Somehow, somewhere, I don't know, is it just this thing or what it is?
There we
There we
go.
go. There we
Yeah,
go. There's
it's
it
on.
off again.
Off again.
But yeah, I hope you can hear me. Something's not very lacquer. I can't hear anything on my side, so I don't know whether you can hear. But if you can hear me, I trust and I hope that you can actually hear me. But nevertheless, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. We are on the Inside Show with none other than Talk with Joan Thursdays. And so, yes, we are grateful to be alive. And yeah, we must just celebrate it Heritage Day, right? So I hope that you guys had an awesome day. They must say it's a bride day, but not for all of us, right? We inherited differently.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are actually talking on the topic My Heritage, right? Because of Heritage Day that was on the 24th. So thank you so much for tuning in. And if you did not subscribe as yet, please do that by hitting that bell on YouTube. And we know that all things will go well today. So yes, Anka is going to actually ask us the question for the mirror today. You know how we roll. Take out your mirror. But first and foremost, let me ask these ladies. We're rolling alone today. We have no guest here today, but we're rolling alone.
We are the
So
guests.
yeah, we are the guests. We are the guests, right?
We serving today.
Yeah. So
right.
actually, guys, I'm going to ask these beautiful ladies just to say hi to you, right? On this beautiful Thursday morning.
Morning, everybody. It's such a beautiful morning, and it's just an amazing experience for me to just wake up and you know, it's good weather. I'm happy it's not cold.
It's very nice. But there's a cold front coming,
No,
right?
we speak
Yeah.
live on this
There's a cold front.
summer weather.
There's going to be another, there's going to be more snow in KZN.
Oh my.
Yeah, the weekend.
Are you a
This
prophet
week-
of
Weekend,
doom?
31st. No, that was on the weather report, girlfriend.
I just want to know,
okay,
how does the weather know when it's weekend? Because it's just on the weekend that we must be cold and inside.
Yeah, it seems like it, eh?
Yeah.
That we can't actually enjoy the weekend.
Yes.
That's so. And Sunday is our
Yes, our heritage celebration.
celebration, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which reminds
we
me
have
we
Super
need to,
Sunday on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
and I'm excited for that because every year we don't have Heritage Day in Namibia, so it's not like a thing for us.
Oh.
So when I got here, I was like, huh? Why must I find something to wear on this day? Because I felt like in the beginning it brought more confusion, or not confusion, but more like not confusion or separation, but it got that where people were like, "No, wat moet ek aantrek, especially as a colored? Like, what do I wear?"
Yeah, okay.
And it was like I felt like it instilled some sort of unease.
Yeah.
Within,
Oh, yeah, because
in a
there's-
certain
yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Because every time because even Xavier would go like, I never used to know what to wear.
Right.
And you'd find people say things like, as in South Africa, or in Joburg rather, they'd wear kavelas or something. And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm not familiar with this term. I'm not
Yeah.
familiar.
So say hello. Say hello.
I said hello.
She said hello when she started off with the heritage
Okay.
thing. Well, hi to everyone. I'm Violet. Ek is nou al 'n huiskind hier op die show. And so I hope you are going to find our discussion very informative or meaningful or just chilled. I think we just
Yeah,
want
we're
to be
just gonna
chilled
chill, yeah.
because I realize that the whole thing of heritage can be very controversial.
Yeah.
And so we want to keep it light. Ons wil hê julle moet kwaad vir ons wees nie, né, na die show nie. En
Ek glo nie dit sal wees nie.
So just join us and comment, eh?
Yes.
Just comment, just be part of the discussion this morning. As we look forward to discussing this, hey, Anka?
Yeah,
And we have a different generation here as well.
Yeah.
So Joan and I are going to speak from
our side.
Side, an age group, and she's going to bring the younger version in, okay?
I'm here for it.
Let's roll, girls. Let's go for it.
So we'll jump into the mirror. I wanted to
That's
do the
right.
mirror and the question. So I think the question that I came up with for today is that what would you say to your young colored self as a girl growing up? What would you say to yourself today?
I would say Gaitjie Klip.
Please explain. Please explain.
Gaitjie Klip. Yeah, I don't think people know a lot about Gaitjie Klip. Today's children don't know Gaitjie Klip, right?
Yeah.
I was a pro in Gaitjie Klip.
Yeah.
And if you don't know Gaitjie Klip, you get a goon. Yeah, they called it a goon, right? And
Are you
then
speaking
you
about
with the stones, right?
not
And
the
you make a
marbles.
hole. No,
Not
girlfriend.
marbles.
I
And
know
then
what
you
she's talking about,
you throw it up, and then you dingus take
with
the
the stones,
stones out
the
of
rocks,
of the hole,
yeah,
and then you
okay.
push it back in.
I love
and
that
that's how
game.
it. Yeah, so
Gaitjie
that
Klip.
is what we
Okay.
used to do. So I would say to my colored self, my young colored self,
Yeah.
it was a awesome experience for me, irrespective of
Yeah.
what our parents faced and what we faced, especially when it comes to racism.
Yeah.
Racism.
Yeah.
So I think that is it's still there,
Yeah.
underlined sometimes.
Yeah.
But those years it was really very, you could see it was
Yeah.
open. So and I think that is what I would say. But I would say, I made it until yes,
Yes, of course you made it, Joan. And you made it strong.
absolutely so.
You know, when you were talking about this Gaitjie Klip, well, in Cape Town, we didn't call it Gaitjie Klip. I have no idea what we called it, but yeah, we played that very same game in Cape Town. And so I would
You're
say to
Cape
myself,
colored.
ek is 'n Kaapse meisie. Ek is 'n Kaapse meisie, gebore en getoe in Kaapstad. In 'n retreat nog eenmaals. So, my aunt was saying on the family chat the other day, that is our heritage.
Yes,
like,
yes.
14 Daring, what is it? I don't know what the name of the house was. But it's Mama and Papa's house, and it's in 2nd Avenue Retreat. And that is where I grew up. And, I remember vividly that colored girl.
Okay.
Growing up with the cousins, playing, like you said, the Gaitjie Klip, and I can't even remember all the games, but we used to entertain ourselves. And with the result, I don't think I felt like ons het swaar gekry of the apartheid. We didn't feel that because we entertained ourselves. We made ourselves happy with the little that we had.
Okay.
And I think our cousins was everything. And so if I have to speak to myself, the younger self, I would say I was very naive because of how I grew up and very timid. And I would have wanted that colored girl to be more brave, more,
Yeah.
more, come out more, because I actually,
Yeah, but
with
you
the
see,
way we were
you grew
raised.
up like what girls have to be seen and not heard.
Absolutely.
And that actually made us withdraw a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think for a long time, even in our generation, because we were all also raised with that, 'n kind moet gesien word en nie gehoor word
Yeah.
nie. And you sort of, what it does with when you're in class or certain
Yeah.
social spheres, you kind of like first suss it out, you first look, you're not very brave to say, no, but this is my opinion, but this is how
So
I feel.
true.
Whereas the kids that come, like the way we raise our kids now,
Yeah.
which would most probably be seen as rude back in
Disrespectful.
disrespectful.
Yes.
But we try to teach our kids, nee, my kind, jy moet praat. You must
Yes.
speak, because
Yes.
when the other kids speak, then our kids are more timid. Like, no, be respectful, but speak up. You don't feel intimidated by the kids around you.
Yeah.
But for me growing up, I think I grew up in Namibia, and we gained independence from South Africa in 1990, which means I think very few people know that we have the same history, because we were one
that's
country
true.
at some
Because
point.
you were,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
were South Africa.
We were South Africa, and there was
Right.
apartheid there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But over the years growing up, I think Namibia had it more subtle. After independence and all of that, there was a more, even till today, I was very shocked when I came to South Africa and you would apply for either a job or you would apply for a bank account, and they
Yeah.
would ask colored, black or white. It was,
Yeah.
for me, it was like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, but
Right.
that
Because
was always
we
the
don't
case,
follow those
right?
things in Namibia.
Yeah.
It was like weird. When I applied for my job at one of the major banks and I went in for the screening, the lady did it, which was very weird for me because I've never had this in Namibia. She looked at me and she just goes, white. I was so shocked. I couldn't say anything because I was like,
Yeah.
huh? First of all, what does it have to do with anything? And second of all, who said I'm white?
Right.
Because in Namibia, I've never been seen as white.
Yeah.
It was here when I came to Joburg, and I think people were a bit confused, and I can speak Afrikaans. It was like,
Yeah.
nee, maar jy is bietjie. Not make sure.
But when it comes to the Namibian people, you have the Rehoboth pastors
Yes.
there, right?
Yes.
Which
Oh,
are
yeah.
very fair. They
Yes.
are very
Yeah.
fair.
So
So
people look at me like this, like when I say, no, ek kom van die pastors af. Like, what are you saying? So there's a small community in Namibia which is colored, but it was a whole thing where they had to fight for the land with the Nama, which is Khoi, and the
And the
Germans.
Germans, yeah.
So a lot of the people in Rehoboth look fair with the
Right.
green eyes and the
Yes.
blonde hair. So
Yeah.
people are really confused. But when they speak like the
Yeah.
colours of that space, which sounds like the Port Nolloth and that kind of Afrikaans, that accent that they have there.
Yeah.
So I think that's the major difference why I think colours from Namibia don't really have that identity.
yeah.
Not crisis, but sort of like we don't know what to wear or where we come from. I think and they come from the Northern Cape.
So is that where your Nama outfit comes from?
Basically, yes. So over the years growing up, it was never really acknowledged that we have Nama heritage because you know what apartheid did and all of that.
Yeah.
But I heard recently my great-grandmother was Khoi.
Wow.
So I'm Khoi. But
Yeah.
my great-grandfather was German, hence the
Right.
fact that there's a fair element.
Right.
You know, but I'm the fairest in my family.
Okay.
So my brothers, they look caramelish.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
brown.
They all. My father
Brown,
was very brown.
Yeah.
So I'm the fairest in my mother's fairly fair, but I'm fairer than my mother.
You know, the thing with this Khoi and brown and colored thing is that we tend to shy away. I think we've had these discussions many times from our black ancestors. We as colored, especially Cape Townians, ek praat nou vir die Kaapenaars. Ja, ons is baie trots gewees om te kan sê ek het like in our family, for example, my grandmother, paternal grandmother, is from Dutch, right? And then my maternal grandmother is as Irish blood in them. So we shy away from talking about the African roots or
Yeah,
the,
because we actually a mixed race.
because we are
Yeah.
yes, but
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is when one looks into the Khoisan
Yeah,
history,
that's true.
we are actually very diverse because my paternal grandfather came from the Indians, like an Indian side, and no, the paternal one, my oma se man was van Somalia of Ethiopia, and sometimes people, you know, especially overseas, they ask me, am I from Ethiopia? Because I look like I can be from Ethiopia.
yeah.
But the point I want to make is that growing up, John,
Yeah.
we never embraced the African side. We were always, but it's because of how we were indoctrinated,
Yes.
how we were socialized to think that white is superior, white is better.
But
yeah, and you
hence-
see, I think
Yeah.
that is why we have Heritage Day.
Yeah.
I was actually when I looked at it, I asked myself the question: why does South Africa actually, as South Africans, why do we celebrate Heritage Day?
Yes.
And it is because of the diversity in the cultures, and it's to bring that unity. You know, the unity back.
Yes.
It was actually established to promote national unity.
Yeah.
And to encourage South Africans to embrace and respect multiculturalism.
Yes.
See, so I think that is why
Yeah.
we have
The
we
Heritage Day.
We have Heritage Day, which I
Right.
think is a beautiful thing.
It is a
you
beautiful
know,
concept.
to actually have the opportunity
Yes, to learn.
to learn from other,
Other cultures,
and
to
to also embrace it.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, like,
Yeah.
I saw something in the week that utterly disturbed me. And I feel as a colored community, we need to be more cognizant of how we view ourselves.
Right.
So it was the whole Heritage Day, and colored people were posting this video of a lady going to work.
With the
Ooh,
gown.
I was
saw that.
livid. I
Right.
was
And-
livid.
And-
It was pioneer.
Yeah.
Because first I
Because
actually
that's
didn't
not
think it
my
was funny.
heritage.
I know it was meant for humor.
Right.
But I didn't think it was funny.
Yeah.
Because already people think that coloreds drink and rook and gaan net
Absolutely.
The communities, the social circles I move in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
None
None
of my
of us.
none of my
Yeah.
my colored counterparts. do that.
Definitely.
I don't drag a gown, yes, at home, where it's
Right,
meant in the morning
right,
or in the
right.
evening, it's meant for at home. I don't walk around with the swalkos
And
outside
rollers.
and rollers. Do I use rollers? Correct.
Yes.
But I'm at home when I'm busy preparing to go out. Right? I feel like there's other ethnicities that I've seen walk around in their gowns and in their
pajamas.
pajamas, and it's
Go
not
to the
colored.
mall
So I'm
with
just-
slippers and
But
pajamas.
that's right.
So I'm sorry, I
No,
cannot.
I'm sorry.
No, I definitely
I'm
don't
sorry.
identify
There,
myself for that.
I was actually, when I saw that clip, you sent it to me.
Yes.
And I was saying, sorry, girlfriend, that's
Yeah.
you.
That's exactly.
That's
not-
your heritage.
Yeah.
And it
It's
wasn't
not
funny.
mine.
Yep.
It
It
wasn't
wasn't funny.
funny.
It wasn't
Right.
funny.
So-
It's the
But-
stereotypes.
But you know, Anka, you saying you didn't find it funny. But
I
her
didn't too.
colleagues
It was
found
hilarious.
it was hilarious to them. So which means that's how, like you just said rightfully, that's how she views herself.
Absolutely so.
Because I cannot, for the life
Absolutely.
of me, identify myself with walking
No.
around with rollers in the
No.
street or in the
Not
mall.
even my
or
mother
outside.
did it.
Yep.
But that's
Neither
the
did
thing.
I
Even
grow
my
up with it.
granny did it.
The way I grew
Yep.
up, no one is allowed to see you in rollers.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's yes, we
It's
do
at
use it,
home.
but it's at home.
At home.
It's like it's in your private space.
And your gown is for inside.
is for inside. Your pajamas is for inside. You can't even walking outside to go get something by the bin or on the side.
Yes.
You don't go out in other people's not supposed to be seeing you in your pajamas.
And I still can't
And
see myself.
what
in it.
I've seen, how I saw your mother, how I saw my mother and my grandparents. My grandparents, they had that Victorian
Oh,
airs
yeah.
about them.
Yeah.
You were never. They were very
They
prim,
had,
Prim and
very
proper.
they had the
they called
British
it.
side
Yes,
of
yes,
them.
very
yes,
prim,
yes.
very prim, with their pearls, and they were very
Yeah,
prim
no,
and proper.
true.
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't find that funny.
No, me
Unfortunately,
too.
I
No.
didn't,
Me
because
too.
I feel like that is a certain element
Typical,
in a
yeah.
smaller type of community.
Yeah.
But it's not colours abroad.
No.
You see, we have colours in Namibia, we have colours in Cape Town,
Yeah.
we have colours here. And yes, there are some differences, that's true. But I'm sorry, I think we can all resonate with the fact that we are prim
Definitely.
and proper.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
And you know, unfortunately, Anka, in Cape Town, when I grew up, we had classes. Like a certain class that you
Yeah.
and
And it's
that
the color of your skin and the, hair,
color and your hair, the
texture.
texture of your hair and so on. But that particular behavior was associated with a certain, what we called so-called a low class.
Yes, yes.
Do
Back
you
in the
do-
day,
like a,
yeah.
and like the Americans would say a ghetto, like a
Yeah,
ghetto
a
type of
ghetto,
a behavior.
yeah.
Yeah, so that female, that lady was just totally not on. And then on top of that, the cigarette, like
Yeah.
And we all don't smoke, girl.
No.
Is smoking still a thing though?
Yeah.
I'm asking from my generation because we
I
don't
don't
see
think
it.
so.
And I mean I've been in South Africa for 10 years.
And still had the bottle in the checkers bag.
That's
Is there a
right.
bottle?
Yes,
I didn't
Ons
see that
drink
part. I was
nie,
just
meisie.
upset.
Ons drink
I was
nie. Ons wil
upset.
jou maar net bietjie reg sê, né?
Bietjie reg,
It's
ja.
not is nie vir ons almal nie,
Nee,
right? As
man.
jy
Dis my
as
heritage.
daai jou heritage is
Dis
dit
myne.
joune.
Ja.
Mas nie al die colored se heritage nie,
Yes,
right?
ja.
Ons het nie almal 'n drankprobleem nie,
Yes.
nee glad nie. Ons is nou baie sophisticated.
I just want
Yes.
to say that when it comes to drinking or alcoholism or certain, all the ethnicities have that.
Yes.
All of it have. But it doesn't define us.
No,
No,
definitely
it
not.
doesn't. But it used to. Remember in the
They
olden
was
days-
they were
Remember that idiom?
that used to be their salary.
Yes.
It's, when they used to work on the farms,
Yes.
the farmer used to. But that also,
Yeah.
if you go back into history,
Right.
that also was a demeaning factor. You know that
Yes.
you were belittled.
Yes.
You are lower than the white.
Yes.
You know, so
Yeah.
they were paid with wine,
Yeah.
with alcohol.
That's right.
You know, so I think that is the where people think we come from. No,
Yeah.
that's not true.
And that's where that idiom comes from. Dit was 'n regte idiom in ons skole.
Yes, yes.
So dronk soos 'n
So
kleerling
kleerling,
onderwyser, as
absolutely
drank
so.
as a
Yes,
colour
that is
teacher.
true. I've
Did
heard
you
that
remember that
before.
one? It used to
Yes.
be in our part of our curriculum.
I didn't know it was part of the curriculum. I just thought it was
And now
things
look at
was a
that.
saying. It
Now
was
look at
called
that.
an
That's
idiom.
demeaning.
It's demeaning.
That was to break us down.
That's right.
And that is why we still suffer today.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of our elderly people
Yes.
still suffer and tell us not to speak up because
Yes.
they're so scared. Because they grew up like that in the apartheid era.
Yeah.
You know, so that's still there
Yes.
for a colored child not to be bold, not to speak up.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking, I marvel actually, but I also wonder at the same time, do we not sometimes suffer from PTSD because of apartheid? You know, of the way we were treated, and you know, I remember we went with some family members of Trina. To the Transvaal those years, and as young couples, and we couldn't go into the restaurant.
Yeah.
We had to go to the back of,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
what do they through the little window,
Yeah.
and buy things from there. And
That's
we
correct.
were upset, and we were, you know, the way we felt. We were driving all the way to, what is it, Eastern? Wat is
Eastern
dit?
Cape.
Nee man, hier voor Mpumalanga se kant toe.
Nelspruit.
Yeah, Nelspruit. Those
what?
areas.
That was Nelspruit was the first place where I experienced
The racism.
racism.
And
Yeah.
Ava was a month old, and we decided to go for like just a bit of a rest because
Yeah.
Xavier ran the conference and he wanted to rest, and we went, and Ava was a month old. So we get to this place in Nelspruit, and I've never experienced this in
Yeah.
my life. Now, I was never seen as white. I've always been seen as colored because the texture of my hair growing
Right.
up. We still had that going. And we went in, and it was load shedding.
Yeah.
I get the pop baba.
Yeah.
And Xavier goes in to say, look, is it because the other units have generators? Can you please put on the generator for us? Because, you know, my wife and my small baby, they tell him, no, unfortunately there isn't. 5 minutes later, I walk in and I say, excuse dame, ek het 'n pap baba in unit so and so, kan jy asseblief vir my help? They immediately switched on the generator. It was the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced, and I saw how blatant racism still is here. I'm not negating that racism in Namibia is still there.
Yeah.
It's just a bit more subtle.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just blatant because it's at the point where me and Xavier we figure out, okay, where are we now? Okay, you go in here and you
Yes,
speak. Or no,
yes.
this is a better place. You go in and you go
And it's
speak.
sad actually.
It's
Very sad.
It's sad that
It's very
that's
sad.
still the reality.
Because you pay the same amount of money.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes
Yes.
even more.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
how people can disqualify you as not being
Good
human
enough.
enough,
Yes.
or good enough,
Yeah.
or that you can behave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just because of the color of your skin,
Yeah.
which is a stupid silly thing
Yeah.
that I hate with a passion. Honestly, it's something that I am so ooh.
About the other day. So we had put our kids into a different school, and I think what made me comfortable about the school, we'd met the principal, but the principal is very fair, but
She's peach.
yeah, my kids tell me I'm peach. She's peach, and she walked up and she was, speaking to Ava, Atea, and the plats I had for her, and she brought her grandchild,
Yeah.
and the grandchild is colored, and it's her son, and
Yeah.
he had got married to somebody else, to another lady, obviously, but it made you feel at ease because it's like, nee, hier is my kinders.
Yeah.
guys."
Veilig.
Yeah.
So Atea got into the car the other day. She's like, "Mommy, am I colored?" me and Xavier, we turned around. Where did you hear? Because we've never instilled like you colored,
Yes.
you white,
Yeah.
you black, whatever.
Yeah.
And we've never. My kids will never say, "Oh, that's that black boy running there." They'll say, "That boy that's running over there," because
Right.
it's never something that we've instilled in our kids.
Yeah.
And we ask, "Where did you hear this?" No, the boy sitting next to me, Prince, said that I'm colored. I'm colored. What does
Yeah,
that mean? What does
yeah.
that mean? And what was for me beautiful was, and she said, "But Mrs. Botha said to me that everybody's the same.
Yeah.
We all children, and we all have noses and fingers." And so it's her Bible study
Yeah,
teacher.
yeah.
We are all the same. And it was for me, it was a beautiful
I
thing.
was going to say the same thing.
Wonderful.
It's beautiful.
Very
Because
nice.
the racism are taught.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
taught.
taught.
It's taught.
It's taught.
Yeah.
And it's not negating.
Yeah.
I'm not negating the fact that each culture has the unique and beautiful
Yes,
attributes.
yes.
And I think that should be celebrated.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be a defining factor whether I'm friends with you, whether I can go
Yes.
into an establishment,
Yes.
whether we can just have a conversation. I mean, I grew up with 50% black, 50% colored, and 50%,
Yeah.
because we have different type of ethnic groups. And
Right.
I'll never forget the first time Xavier then went, he said, "Is everybody colored?" Because everybody could speak Afrikaans. But it wasn't, because in Namibia, everybody can speak Afrikaans. Like, there's
Yeah.
a very few minority that can't speak Afrikaans, that only speak English or
Yeah.
whatever language they speak. But here, I found that a lot of people refuse to speak Afrikaans because they feel it's the oppressor's language, when really Afrikaans is a colored language.
And it's a beautiful language.
Yes.
It's
It's a
yeah,
colored
it's a
language.
colored language.
It's an amalgamation of different
Yes.
of the Dutch that
the
came
Dutch.
in. Yeah,
Yes.
and the Khoi, which
Yeah.
then became
Yeah.
it's like a
yeah. It's just we
derivative
click-
thereof. Yes.
Because in the Khoi
There's a click,
language,
click,
there's that clicks, that
Yeah,
clicks.
yeah.
So I want to ask the question. So if you look back on your grandmom and dad,
Yeah.
and we look at where do you come from?
Yeah.
Who were they? Where were they born?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just to somehow get the tree running, if I may put it that way.
Yeah.
Or the journey where we at the moment.
Yeah. From my side, Joan,
Your grandfather
I-
from your father's side.
I actually wished that I was able to sit, like we say, sit at the proverbially
table,
at somebody's
yeah,
feet
yeah.
and just
And
learn
ask- yeah.
and just hear more. And before I say anything more, I also want to encourage our children
Yeah.
and our
Find out
the
more.
younger generation to encourage their children to sit with us and to hear where we come from. Because that is where we lost our identities, not or people lose currently also their identity, and especially in the so-called colored or brown community, is that we don't know our heritage.
Yeah,
we
we
don't know where
definitely
we
don't,
come
eh?
from. And at the same time, the sad part is, children who don't have their fathers present, or mothers are the present one. So I remember my own dad looking for his father
Yes.
because he never knew his own dad.
Really?
Yes, because my grandmother, and I can say it now, family, if you're listening, because my grandmother told this, the story to me personally when I was 14, 15 years old. She said to me she ran away from my dad's dad.
My grandfather also ran away.
Yeah, she ran away. So, and then she married someone else, and she married a man who was already married. But those years there weren't cell phones and internet, and so the guys could get away from. This Haywood guy had a family in Touwsrivier. I don't even know. So basically, I'm carrying a surname, a maiden surname, which does not even belong
Same with me, yes.
to
Really?
yes. My maiden surname was supposed to be Hamid, like a Muslim
Yeah.
surname.
So,
But my
so
grandmother married
your grandfather came from
a
Muslim
Muslim
background.
And so
Your
I don't know if
biological, yes.
my biological grandfather. And so whether he was abusive or what, why Granny ran away, I have no idea. My mama ran away. But the reality then is she married Haywood. And so we have the Haywood surname. And we just accepted it. We embraced the Haywood name, the surname.
Hulle het gesê daai jare die ou mense se sonde
Hulle was
is skoon
stout, man.
sonde. They said
Hoe
that.
sê hulle, wat was die sonde?
Skoon sonde.
Skoon
So
sonde.
you never you never
Hulle
heard
het
of
alles onder die kapot gegee,
Alles.
hè?
Alles.
Alles.
because even with us, we were raised, we were just
Yeah.
told about the white grandfather,
Yeah.
the German, which was Hansen, and we grew up with a Hansen surname. But then the other day I heard, no, it's eindelijk Coetzee. I'm like, whoa, waar kom ek Coetzee? Because now certain family members aren't alive that would have fought it tooth and nail. That
Yes,
there was even Khoi blood in our in our heritage.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and then there's another surname of Schwarzu, and you're like, wag.
Yeah, yeah.
Kom ek bly maar nou net by die Hendriks. Ek is nou Hendriks, so kom ek bly nou net by Hendriks. I'm fine with it because there's just too much going on. But something that conversation, because I would always look at Xavier because he'd get upset and really passionate about this colored Khoi thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand what you're on about. And I think it comes with the fact that we had a more secure kind of where colors come from, or where the
Yes.
bastards rather come
Yeah,
from. We're not saying
yeah.
colors as a whole, but the bastards in Namibia come from,
Yes.
and I'm associated with that. My father was a bastard, my mother was a bastard, so I'm a bastard because we come from there.
So where does the bastards actually originate from?
From the Northern Cape.
Yeah.
They migrated from the Van Wyks, which is ironic because Van Wyk here is a white surname. In Namibia, it's a very colored surname.
Yeah.
Really?
Every second colored is Van Wyk. So it's like,
But then is Van Wyk Dutch or German?
I think it's more Dutch.
I think it's, yeah.
Yes, it's more Dutch.
Yeah, because Namibia is very integrated with the
the Ger-
Dutch.
with the German.
With the German
Yes,
people.
because it was a German colony.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like even my grandparents could speak fluent German. Some
Yeah.
of my aunts can speak fluent German. We went to German schools.
Yeah.
But my grandparents could speak fluent Nama, which is
Yeah.
Khoi. Like it's a dialect of
Yeah, and it's
Khoi.
nice
It comes from
it's
Khoi.
nice to hear.
Yes.
How they
Yes. The
talk.
different
Yeah, the
languages,
different-
eh?
that-
Yeah.
So I'm confused that it was denied because my grandfather was a Nama
Yeah.
teacher. He taught it
Yeah.
in schools, but it never came down to us.
Yeah.
Right? So I think in a sense we were robbed because of this idea. Nee, julle moet Duits leer.
Yeah.
But this is the land of the people because even the whole entire Namibia, just like South Africa,
Yeah.
is Khoi. The entire Namibia,
Yeah.
the entire Kalahari
Yeah.
is Khoi.
Did
It's
you
Khoi.
did
It's
you have
Khoi
that
land.
the anthem also in German? Because a friend of mine actually gave me those words when I was young, and I learned it, and I was so proud of
Really?
myself. Yeah, the German anthem.
So I think they changed it after
They
after
the
independence.
independence,
So we
yeah.
have a full on English. Anthem.
yeah,
now.
okay.
But it's for me, it's so beautiful. I actually learned I'm so proud of me. I learned the South African anthem, and I'm really stoked with myself because of
Yeah.
all the integration of the languages, and it's so
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful song.
Yeah.
For everybody's included.
Yes.
But if like even with the Namibian, going back to the point that I was trying to make, why Xavier gets upset is because the Khoi owe the entire landmass. It
Yeah.
It
belonged
was
to
ours.
the
We
Khoi.
were here
Yeah.
first.
We
Yeah.
were here
Yes.
first. And the same thing with Namibia because we have a different ruling party, but that the majority of the people there now
Yeah.
come from Angola.
Yeah.
So if you have to go back into
Yeah.
history, but
Yeah.
no one is.
Yes.
We're not okay to identify with our people.
Yeah.
We are bosses if you think about it, and that's when he gets upset about that.
Yes.
We own the land, and you don't associate yourself with someone that man, dis mos myne.
Yeah.
But you
yeah.
know, Anke-
But maar kyk die verdrukking.
Yeah.
See how we were oppressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That you're nothing. You're nothing.
So true.
So if you have a fair skin color,
Yeah, yeah.
you are everything.
That's right.
But see how was the divide and rule that came in.
Yes,
You
yes.
know,
You did a good job with that.
Yeah, I actually found because I always had this to speak to my parents.
yeah.
First, I wanted to speak to my grandparents, but I was so scared because it's always that a thing that why do you want to know so
Yeah.
much? You were,
Yeah.
you
I
were
want to
trying-
know
what-
because
what-
oh,
why?
means because it was like that across the board, even for
Yeah.
us. It was
Yeah.
like, man,
Ja.
wil jy dit goed te weet
Ek
nou?
dink ek dink vir myself toe nou, man, but now why? There's nothing to hide. We just
Yeah.
want to know where we come from. So
Right.
yesterday I actually had to phone my eldest cousin,
Ja.
you know, and he said where my father and them came from. I knew my father always said to us that he originates from PE, from Port Elizabeth.
Right,
He was brought up in Causton,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
but his father came from Grahamstown,
Okay.
you know. So my grandmother, his mother, my dad's mother, was an Irish woman.
Yes.
My grandfather was a Muslim man,
Yeah.
an Indian Muslim.
Yeah.
And so those are the type of things, but he carried the surname of Constance,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
So it's how the things integrated. And then if I look at my mother's side,
Yeah.
my mother's father also ran away.
Yeah.
But he grew up in Bloemfontein, and that's how when he ran away from home,
Yeah.
he actually came to Joburg,
Yeah.
to Fordsburg. What was it called those years? I can't even
Not
remember.
Sapphire Town. No.
Is it Sophia Town? I can't remember the
Fordsburg
name.
was Sapphire Town, I think.
No.
Or, yeah.
So
Or
that is
Albertsville or something.
something like that, yeah.
please.
So
not sure.
and my mother actually showed us the house, no?
Wow.
Yeah, before
Where
she
she grew
passed
up.
on, she actually showed us where they lived
Yeah.
in now Fordsburg,
Yeah.
right? So I was looking at that now, and my grandmother was in Fordsburg.
Yeah.
So my grandfather from my mother's side also comes from a Muslim
Wow.
background.
That just shows that
But-
they were all like one big family before
Yeah.
apartheid came in and
Yes.
divided people. They didn't see color.
That's the thing, sis.
They were all mixed. They
It-
fell
it-
in
it
love.
was
You know,
mixed.
it's
But even with me, my mother's father
yeah.
is Indian.
Yeah.
Indian. And then my mother's mother was white. So,
Yeah.
but they grew up in Reba.
But that's how
Yeah.
the colored nation actually
Yes.
started.
Yes.
So-
it was that integration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like the other day when Ava they had to dress up to go to school and we didn't have koi outfits because Ava was very adamant they need koi outfits. I'm like, no, we don't have koi outfits, but they can wear the Indian outfits because they've got Indian from both sides,
Yeah.
from your side and from my side. So
Right.
it's not wrong for them to wear
Yes,
Indian.
it's part of their
It's
heritage.
part of their heritage, and it's also a matter of where it's so mixed because when we went to the States, when I went to the States in 2008, they were like, please explain to me because they thought I was either Filipino or I was Hispanic. And I'm
Yeah.
like, nee, my mense,
Yeah.
dis die
When,
verste
when,
van
when
uit."
I'm in the US,
Yes.
you'll just find randomly they speak Hispanic with
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Because they just take it that
Yes, that
you,
you-
Hispanic,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
and it just shows you that how people can,
They put you in a box.
Yeah.
they classify you.
Yes.
Say,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
It's
when you start speaking, then they go, do you speak Hebrew? I'm like, yeah, because the in the Afrikaans. And you're like, no. And then we had to explain to them,
Yeah.
like, okay, so where are you from? I'm like, no, I'm African, but you don't look African. I'm
That's
like,
right.
No, Africa isn't really a color because even on the entire continent,
Yeah.
we're multifaceted.
Yeah.
Because the Ethiopians don't look like the people from Congo.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on where you are
Yeah.
on the country. So you can't say African is black. It's
Yeah.
not black because it's so multifaceted. But it's a beautiful thing that we can celebrate everyone's cultures and
Yes.
in unique
Yes.
identities.
Joan was saying you were saying that about New York, right? The
Yeah,
other day.
yeah.
Where New York
Yeah.
is just like a
Yeah, and
mixture.
that's why I like it. Yeah, it's a mixture
it's
of
a mixture of
all cultures. And so when you
cultures.
walk in New York, people from Colombia or whoever will try and
Yeah.
speak to you
Yeah.
because they think
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
from there. Also, when we were living there in the 90s, one of the friends African Americans, when they ask me about my heritage, where I came from, I said I'm a colored from South Africa, and they were like, "Oh,
That's like a big.
please do not use that word over here because that is like a negative connotation. It has a negative connotation in
Honestly.
the US. Yeah,
Yes, they get
They
very
say
upset.
mixed race, no?
Yeah.
There's a big thing about Tyler being there, and it's a big thing because she says, "I am
I'm
colored."
colored.
You cannot.
Yeah.
How can you
Absolutely
deny
so.
me
Yeah,
my identity?
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes, yes.
Like, it just
Yes.
doesn't make
They
sense.
don't
Yeah.
want it to actually use
They
colored.
don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
And
So,
it's-
so again,
Yeah.
they want to make her
yeah.
and tell her who
Just
she
accept.
is. Just accept. This is who we are,
Because
man.
yeah, we have this new division, the new what you call it, governance or whatever, and we are still coloreds. It
Yeah.
hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So
We're still
they're
in the
not calling us
boxes.
Africans. We still have the
We're
box.
still in the boxes.
Yeah.
But actually, politically,
Yeah.
we are black. Politically, supposed to be.
And I would have
You know what I'm
preferred to say
saying?
I'm a black person. It's easier also
Absolutely.
to say I'm black.
It is easier
Because they believe in the US, sorry, that once your blood is crossed, you're black.
Yes.
So it
Yeah,
doesn't matter if
you're
you're
mixed
fair like
nation, yeah.
Anka,
Yeah.
you're a black person,
Yeah.
in the US. You're black American, African.
But I think
American.
it's unfair to just disqualify whatever, because the reality of the matter is we've got, like I said, Indian, white, Khoi, we've got all of that. It's a
Yeah.
melting pot.
Right.
So when you color on the page a little bit, it's colored. So when you put a bit of tea in your water, it's colored. So
That's
I
right.
cannot deny any of which is my heritage. It's there.
Yes.
My heritage is white, Indian, Khoi, all of that. It's there. It's who I am. So I don't think it's
That's
fair for somebody else to come in and define for me
Yes.
who
Who
I
I
am
am.
and what I
Exactly.
do.
Supposed to
I
be.
agree.
And just
Yes.
just to head back with that, if I have to say something to myself as a colored girl, I want to say to the colored girls, we are more than conquerors. We are strong women, and
Absolutely.
we are poised.
Sure.
That's who we are.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we have to look in the industry now, I know of quite a big names that has made it into whether it's in the banking industry, whether it's successful businesses, who are strong, and even in the lawyer sphere,
Yeah.
they are colored women that carry themselves with so much grace. And
Yeah.
even with the political sphere, if you have to look with PA, there's a lot of colored women there
Yes.
that are, you can look up and
Yes.
say,
Yeah, true.
this is, I identify with
Yeah,
these people.
yeah.
And if I have to tell my daughters, and we've had this discussion already, that we actually come, and maybe you can say the same. I come from strong women.
Yeah.
Because I
Yes.
remember my grandmothers,
Yes.
both from my mother's side
Yeah.
and my father's side, being very strong women, not physically,
Yes.
but their spirits were very strong. My grandmother from my mother's side had 13 children.
Yeah.
And she did not only raise her children, she raised her grandchildren.
And that was always the case.
And she
they
had
always had to bring
borders,
others
other
in.
people
in,
yeah.
that she took care of, people. I
Yeah.
can still remember these folks living on the stoop that was closed up, But she always had people that that she embraced, and I don't know if you guys can remember, but I can't remember. And then it came down to my mother as well. She did the same, taking on people, the borders and people living in our home. I don't even remember, a colleague and I had this discussion. Where did we sleep? Because she would say, we only had a 2-bedroom home, but we always had visitors. We always had company at our house.
There's always space.
There was always, our
we
home was
also-
open,
Yeah. We had a 2-bedroom
I know
house.
John and them still have that same culture.
Yeah,
right?
when you rock up
I-
there
You
by
just
mine, and you're
rock
like,
up and you
"Oh,
just
hello."
welcome.
There's
Then
always
you
people.
love people.
Oh, hello. No, we're here for the weekend.
Altijd
Oh,
mensen,
okay.
yeah.
My
Yeah.
brother's the same.
Is it?
Yo, Eden. As altyd
Wow.
mense, there's always people.
It's
So
amazing,
it's just like that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
somehow we just love it.
Yeah.
We just love
Is
it.
it because you had lots
know,
of brothers and sisters? or-
Yeah, we were. 8 is enough, girl. And my mother and my father believed in equal rights, 4
Right.
boys and 4 girls. so there's no trouble there.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
that is our way, and we grew up very tight.
Yeah.
Even my mother them believed in, on weekends,
Yeah.
we go to my granny,
Yeah.
and all the cousins are there.
Wow,
So
yes.
we grew up very tight. It's but
Yes.
now, with the new generation, that we
Yes.
are a little bit apart.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
But that unity is still. You can still
That
sense. You
bond.
still feel it.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
If something goes wrong with the one, you feel it because it's
Yes.
part of you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So and I
absolutely.
think that is the beauty
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
And today our children marry. They integrate. They
Yeah.
they
Yes.
because they go back to their roots.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm
eh?
saying?
That's right.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong in
Yes.
marrying
A different race. group.
different race
My
group.
mother always told me it could be pink, blue, or black. You must just know Jesus.
Yeah,
And that's what it is.
That's what my mother said.
That's
Can
what
I
it
just
is.
bring
Yeah,
the comments
please
in
do.
real? Everybody was so quiet today in the comments. We used to a lot of comments coming in. So
Yeah, the people's not watching today.
yeah.
Yeah.
So drop a comment. Let us know. Interact. We'd like to have a nice conversation. What is your opinion? We've got Clayton, who's our producer here. Says good morning, ladies. The sound is fine. Good morning, ladies, from Lady S. Sonia Foster. And then Clayton said facts, Pastor Jones. So it is definitely something we said earlier on. And then Sonia Foster says, I am mixed Khoisan from my grandfather side. From my mom's side, I'm
Khoza.
yeah, Khoisa. From my father's side, so that makes me Khoisani. Khoisani. Black without speaking the language. Dankie, Auntie Sonia. Ek kan
Yeah.
nie-
Yes,
I'm
yes,
trying.
It's Xhosa.
But what I've noticed with this interracial or marrying or we in the community in El Dorado Park, I've picked up that there's so-called black Zulus or whatever
Yeah, that's
in
true,
the
yeah.
church
Yeah,
as
yeah.
such, but they have the colored culture.
That's correct, yes.
So the colored
Because
have
they
they've
they grown up with
yeah.
with-
So they don't have the Zulu culture or the whatever culture, but they're colored.
Yeah,
And so
I come from Noordgesig.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I learned because we were just opposite Orlando.
yeah,
I had black friends
Yes.
that we played with.
yeah.
And there was nothing wrong with
No.
with that.
No.
Our neighbors always had people from Orlando coming
Yes,
over because
yes.
we were close.
Yes, it was Noordgesig, right?
It was Noordgesig,
Very, very
and
close.
it was only a street.
that's
a
right.
street
That
that
separated the
actually
community.
Yeah.
separated us.
Yeah.
And we grew up together.
Yeah.
But where this thing came in was the divide and rule.
It-
was
absolutely.
that's where the ugliness
Yes.
came in. To be
Yes.
quite honest
Yes.
with you.
Yeah.
And it caused division within families
Yes.
because
That's
I remember
correct, yes.
growing up that there was the white part of the family and then there
Yeah.
was us.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Yeah.
and then growing up, it was always for me weird. And thinking about it now in retrospect, as a child, you didn't understand it. And, my mother would try to protect us or whatever. And then for some reason, ons was altyd oorig, ons was altyd daar gewees, because
Yeah.
things were happening there. And now thinking back in retrospect, little things that happened over the years when you realize, eintlik, they actually saw you as less
Yeah, they did.
because you weren't
Yeah, we were the
white
same.
enough.
We were the same.
But
Yeah.
we were all coloreds. It was like,
Yeah.
but they had the straight hair, they had
Yeah.
the green eyes.
You see, my father came from a very poor background.
Yeah.
His mother really, she had it
Yeah,
from all sides. So he grew up very poor.
Oh.
And majority of our grandparents
Yes.
worked for white families,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And my aunt was saying to me yesterday how her granny, that's now my great-grandmother, used to take my mother because she worked she also had it like
Yeah.
very, very hard,
Yeah.
in her lifetime.
Yeah.
And how she used to, Abba,
Yeah.
my grandmother,
Yes.
and she went to work because
Yeah.
she worked for white people just to
Yes.
put bread
Food
on the table.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My father, my father's mother when I think back, my granny, when she fell pregnant with my father,
Yeah.
she actually drank something to abort him.
Wow.
Because
But
it was so
not
tough.
because she wanted, but
It
because
was tough.
it was so tough. And she didn't want to bring him into this world
It was like an act of
because
survival.
it was so
And what a
so
blessing
hard.
he was. Eh?
He was.
And look what God has
Yes.
done, over the years, and
Yeah.
and
I
the
think the enemy
instrument
wanted
and
to
the instrument he
sabotage.
was in his family.
Yes.
Accepting Christ,
Wow.
and his whole family
Yeah.
But you know
came
what?
in.
What the not the scary part, but when you look at the enormity of the whole situation, my child would never have existed if he didn't exist.
That's
Yes.
It's a whole lineage that has
Yes.
been wiped out. It's like
Yes.
eintlik die waar jy mos 'n slinkse ding om
Yeah.
and look at my husband is a pastor, Ma's a pastor, Daddy
Wow.
was a pastor.
Yeah,
it was
all
like
of us, yeah.
it was a whole lineage. So I was scanning and
Yes, the enemy wanted.
something I just don't understand, and if I also have to look in the history of my grandmother. So my father's mother was sent to school with the Germans at a very young age, and she was made to cook instead of them teaching her. So my grandmother was a great cook till the day she died.
Yeah.
But I always asked like how, where, and then my aunt told me that no, she was sent to school, and then the people at school made her to cook. She was so small, she had to stand on a chair and cook for the white kids, for the German kids.
Sure.
And it makes you wonder, like, wat anders het nog gebeur? But what I'm confused about is the fact that they were still right.
Yeah.
It was never the other lineage that was, or the other grandparents that were spoken about. It was just spoken about the German grandparents. But did they not oppress? I'm just asking, like, look, we can't place those sins on people now. That is the old That's true. But why was it never acknowledged that she had a Khoi mother?
Yeah.
Why was it never acknowledged? I mean, there must be some good somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
You remind me now of my own mom, who used to say, ek was die slimste kind in die school. But she had to leave the school at standard 5, which was grade 7.
Yeah.
And she had to go and work as a cook as well,
And it's unfair.
And it was
And
so
the
unfair.
the
And she had
majority of
so
them-
much inside of her.
Yeah.
Okay, later on, one could see it as she became a pastor's wife and a good speaker.
Yeah.
That definitely. And, my mom was one of those people. If you started a topic now, as jy nou van karre praat,
Sy
my ma
gaan
saam
saam praat.
if you talk about soccer, my mom, she was an intelligent woman who was oppressed.
Yes,
And
definitely.
suppressed.
Definitely. And
Do
the
you understand?
potential that was locked up within her could not
Could
come
never
to the
come
fore.
into fruition.
Yeah. Because I don't know about you guys also, whether you were also told when there's visitors that to be quiet
Yes,
and
yes.
and not to come into the conversation
Conversation.
of big
Yeah.
You'll
people.
be a tana tel nie.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think there was a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because you learn from the elderly. Right? I mean, the Bible also say, that the elderly woman must teach the younger woman.
Yeah.
And that is how it is. But I think in today's life, it's different.
Yeah.
Because we allow the children,
Yes.
and I think that also makes them understand more
Yes.
and can be and is able to talk in any conversation.
It makes them assertive.
And it makes them bold. It
Yes.
makes them speak with confidence.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Because if you know your subject, you're going to actually speak with confidence.
Right.
And I think that is where we were actually not allowed,
Yes.
to be in conversation. That's why we don't know where we come from.
That's right.
And that's why a lot of our colored people, or
Yeah.
may I say the brown people,
Yeah.
still struggle
Yeah.
with boldness, confidence, and so
Yeah.
on. But now,
Yeah.
I mean, when I grew up, I was very quiet.
Yeah.
I was a quiet girl who used to go sit in the corner.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in trouble with my parents,
Yeah.
especially when my mother. My mother was very strict. And I've learned yesterday that my granny was strict and my
Yeah.
and her mother was a very strict woman.
Yeah.
So and even my grandfather was extremely strict. That's what my aunt said.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, where does that come from? So yesterday I actually got the answer.
Yeah.
You know that, oh, okay, it comes from there.
Yes.
But I always like to change that in my grandchildren, never to actually feel that they are not wanted, that they are not
Allowed to
part of
speak.
it and
Yeah.
allowed to speak. I feel
Ja, jou
they
kleinkinders is
have to.
uitgesproke.
Yeah.
I- and I push them because I
Yeah.
feel you have to, because
Yeah.
I know where I come from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I could have been
Yes.
further in my life,
So true.
you know, if I look
So
back.
true. I can
And if-
identify with that.
And if you encourage to say, no, you can go, you can do
Absolutely
it. Yeah, go
so.
speak up. It wasn't, nee,
Yeah.
wag eers my kind, what
Yeah.
if? What
Maar
if?
ek het 'n vraag. I have a burning question. Were you guys ever taught by your parents about money, about wealth, about savings, about
No.
what was the inheritance when it comes to money, man?
No.
I don't think that is that I think as a generation they were colors were robbed of that because they
Yeah.
always say old money, which is always old money is always white money.
That's
It's
right.
always, you know, so
Yeah.
there was never that let me because if you find in most colored communities, I stand corrected. I don't want to say everyone and
Yeah.
blanket it, to say that hulle kyk altyd agter hulle ouers. Die kinders kyk altyd agter hulle ouers in hulle ou dae.
That's a
right?
feit.
And whereas when you look at in the old money, they leave inheritance
Yeah.
for the generations
Yeah.
to come.
Right.
But I think of late in the last couple of years, I think with our generation that is slowly breaking because we realize nee, ons moet iets op
Yeah.
That's right.
agterlaat
Yeah.
That's
vir
right.
ons kinders.
Yeah.
And I think with our parents, hulle het dit miskien 'n bietjie later gerealize in hulle se lewe dat okay, ek moet ook iets oorlaat
Ja.
vir my kinders. So I think it's slowly breaking, but I think they were robbed of that knowledge.
Yes.
Because most of them, like you said, was sommer uit die skool uitgehaal in,
Ja.
in graad 7, graad 5.
Ja.
They were taken out of school, so there was never that financial literacy that was really taught.
Ja, want
all the time.
die ouer kinders moet gaan werk. The older ones
Ja,
had to
vir
go
die
and work
jongeres, ja.
to support the younger
Ja,
ones, to
ja,
help the
ja.
parents.
Yeah, in our household it
Yeah.
was like that.
And so when I grew up, you know, we talked today about black taxes, but in
Yeah.
essence it was really black taxes because in my case, a friend of mine taught me about when I started teaching that I had to have a bank account.
Yeah,
And she took me.
when I started to work also, yeah.
Because
I had
my
to have-
father used to take my check and
Yeah.
put it in
Yeah,
his account.
That's right, yes.
And then he would give me spending
Yes,
money.
that's right.
And, you know,
You?
and that's how it worked back
Yeah,
in
it
the
worked
day.
like that, yeah.
And so only when I came to Johannesburg, you know, as a young teacher then with my parents who came to Pretoria, then only this person said, no, but you are already, you know, old
Yeah, of
enough
age,
of
yes.
age. You can open, and that's all. And I'm still with the very same bank, Standard Bank, that I opened my
Wow.
first account with. So that's years and
Years
years and
ago.
years now. But you know, Maya Angelou and Oprah has the saying, if you know better, you do better.
Do better.
And I
That's
think,
right.
I believe we know better now.
Yeah.
So therefore, we need to make sure our children know better, especially when it comes to investments. When it comes to
Yes.
Yeah.
my
Because
husband.
don't you think that that's a lack in the brown
Absolutely.
nation per se?
Absolutely. Yes.
Because we don't leave
An
an inheritance,
inheritance.
a financial inheritance
But it's the
for
mind.
our children.
I was talking to someone yesterday. It's the mindset.
Yeah.
You would find a makuku, a small little house, and a brand new car.
That's
And a
right.
car is not an investment.
No, not at all.
So we need to be taught.
Or
Yeah.
in the brown nation, if I may
Yeah.
put it that way,
Yeah.
we go for brands.
And
Yeah,
clothes.
clothes.
You know,
Clothes,
clothes
yeah.
is one
The
of that.
child is-
Instead of man, go to PP
Go to
boutique
PP.
and and go buy there and put money away.
Away for that
Save,
very same
save.
child that you want to
I-
buy a
I could
Nike for who
never-
is 1 year old.
I could never understand
Yes.
that because in my mind, it's going to be broken first of all.
Yes,
it's
they're
not
gonna
gonna last a
outgrow it.
month.
Small.
It's
Yeah.
it's going to be too small. It's not going to last a month.
Right.
And I never understood
Yes.
it. And ek het my klere vir my kinders by Pep gaan gelê by, and they're fine. They are well and
Yes.
alive.
Exactly.
And they could show everyone their pretty clothes that they
Yeah.
wore. I could never understand that because as a kos by die huisie.
Yeah.
But we're wearing a Nike.
But you know,
I-
I want to commend the colours in Cape Town. I remember one of the uncles working for what we would call Pick It Up now.
Yeah.
But he had a house in a nice area. My parents also, I grew up in a nice area, like a suburb, because they wanted to take us out of the townships. And I never understood, that they wanted us. Okay, it wasn't suburbs, but it
Right,
was
right.
nicer than the
Yeah,
township.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you know.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah.
know Cape Town,
Yeah,
you'll
the
know
different-
we
yeah,
have our
the- yeah,
different
the different
nicer
areas,
areas.
yeah.
And so you didn't have to be educated then. But I think it was the mindset that you needed to have property first. Not a car, property
first.
And we must teach our young people to invest in apartments or just
Yes.
to
Yeah,
have
to
a
have your
house.
own
Have your
property.
own, you can be in your 20s.
That's
When you
correct.
start working, start saving to buy your own place, your
Property,
own
yeah.
property.
I think that's something
Because-
my father instilled within us.
Yes.
It's like, los eers die kar. Like,
Yeah.
it's good to have a car. And when you
Yeah.
do have it, that's great. But do you have a place to stay? Dat help
That's
jy het 'n
right.
kar nie, maar jy het nêrens hier iewers or
Yes.
you're still staying with your parents, whatever.
Right.
Invest in a property first.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that we were
Because the
taught.
value grows.
The value
And
grows.
the car is not an
I must say
asset.
there was never, I never heard my parents actually, spoke about this is the goals
Yeah.
that we set here. This is the
Right.
goals that you have to set for yourself, growing up, like becoming that teenager,
Yes.
start working, saying now that, okay, this is your 10% that goes to the tithing, and
Yeah.
that is because I grew up in a spiritual home.
Yeah.
So that is what you're going to have to save, and this is what you're going to live of, you know what I'm
Never
saying?
had that discussion.
There was never that discussion.
Yeah, same here.
So you had to actually learn for yourself,
Yes.
as time
When
went.
it's- Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is, I think it's very important for us now.
Yes.
I see the importance in it,
Yes.
because a lot of our parents
Yeah.
and grandparents
Yeah.
never ever even had a will,
So
you
Yeah.
know,
true, eh? So
and that is
true.
why there were always this
Strive and-
a strive in families, and it can go on for years.
Yes.
Just because if there was a will in place,
Yes.
everybody was going to be on the same page that,
Right.
listen, this is what our parents said.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I thank God that my parents had a will, so
That's
there was
wonderful.
no
Fighting.
Yeah.
Everybody knew where they where
Yeah.
they were standing, and so it was something different
Yeah.
for us. But it was important. It is important for our families in our colored communities to understand that these are the things that matters.
Yes.
To instill in your children and give them a financial literacy,
Yes.
to become financially independent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that low self-esteem, and that because it's always there where you find that people who have that actually oppress the people who don't have.
So true.
You get what I'm saying? So if you can learn from a young age
Yes.
to actually, I remember Jesse was like that. If Jesse gets money, all the Xavier and Evangelic used to
Save.
borrow from Jesse, because Jesse used to save.
Yeah.
He used to put his monies away.
Yes.
And there already you could see that this one, if he can carry on like this, he will become
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
And I know today he's not where he is supposed to be, and all my children, but they know that, listen, you have to actually, don't worry about what you wear,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what brand you
Yes,
wear,
yes.
whatever. Make room and have a savings account where you can put, even if it's 1,000 rand, put it away if you can, because I know with looking at the different households and different
Yeah.
Life is lifing.
life for a lot of my children, life is really lifing.
Yes. Yeah.
And you must make ends meet because you're in ministry, so you actually don't have the luxury of what others have with 6-digit salaries, and it is difficult, but working in the kingdom is more. That's a talk for another day.
It's a whole discussion.
It's a whole discussion for another day.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing, that what would you be able to take away from growing up, and you still want it for your children today? That beautiful thing that you saw, growing up. And when you think about it, you say to yourself, I would like our children to actually
Have those
have
attributes.
this. Yeah.
For me, there was always a sense of community. So growing up with my grandmother on my father's side, we grew up more to her side. My other grandmother was in Rehoboth and we were in Windhoek. But every single day, without fail, there would always be visitors, because they always knew my grandmother served lunch at 12 o'clock. Every day, without fail. Wow. And there was always, and my grandmother would never turn away anybody. Yeah. So everyone was always welcome. It was always a sense of closeness, like mens is mens. Like you could see the person for who they were. And even in our household, I mean, people used to take taxis. My father had a butchery and a takeaway. He sold food for a living, but they would take the taxi to come ask him for food, and he would feed them. Yeah. I remember people sleeping in our yard when winter times, and my mother would take out blankets and stuff, because it's our people, we need to look after. So there was a sense of unity and community among, and I would like that, whether it be someone pink, brown, yellow, purple, or whatever. We are all people, and I would like my kids to acknowledge and have that warmth towards everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, that's the same heritage that I have, is that we grew up with, like I said, with all the cousins. My one aunt had 8 daughters. So you can imagine 13 children and everybody having... so we were a big, huge family. And we had that, that closeness. And
so I can imagine your mother also put the plates there, and then she dish up or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, we had that.
Yeah.
And when I was going through a tough time, I used to take the rice, that same concept, put the rice in the plate, and then dan skittetjie bord.
Yeah.
Laat hy moet baie lyk.
Baie lyk, ja.
Because I remember my grandmother used to make potato breedy. No meat,
yes,
just
nice,
potatoes.
yes.
Yeah. And so I come from a background where we grew, like I said earlier on,
The togetherness.
the togetherness, just
I think we all grew up
lots of
like
it.
that.
And today, I know the young people are very private. And so I would like for my grandkids, at least then, if you can't have that whole house full, have their cousins, close to, like
it's
you guys are
important.
close.
Yeah.
I admire that so much, that closeness with their cousins. Let them have that bond.
Let them get to know each
Let
other.
them get to know each other. Let them become friends with their own cousins, their own family.
Wonderful.
And
Well,
when
guys, we came to the end of our show, and we want to say, have an awesome belonging. You know what I'm saying?
that's right.
You are unique within yourself.
That's right.
You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Celebrate yourself.
Yeah.
And no matter where you come from, who was your granny,
Right.
who was your grandfather, but the thing that matters is enjoy who you are.
Absolutely.
And embrace yourself.
Right.
So we want to say, Tata,
Bye.
Bye.
have an awesome time. God loves you.
Yes.
And we love you too. Mwah.
In the shadows, as I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream. As I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living